The Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2, in conjunction with Colfax High School, presents Viking Pregame. A look at today's Colfax Vikings boys game. And now, Viking Pregame.
Good evening and welcome to the NLWN2 studios. Rick Olson here, and from all of us at the Northern Light Webcasting Network, we want to extend our wishes to you for a very happy new year. Now tonight, the Colfax Vikings are getting ready to open up the 2025 portion of this season by taking on the Turtle Lake Lakers in a non-conference game at Turtle Lake High School. Both teams come into this game coming off impressive wins to wrap up the 2024 portion of the season. The Vikings defeated the Augusta Beavers 72-60 on Monday, while the Lakers knocked off the Mille Lacs Co-op from Minnesota 76-43 also on Monday. So both teams would like to step into 2025 on a positive note. Coming up in this edition of Viking Pregame, we'll take a look at tonight's matchup between the Turtle Lake Lakers and the Colfax Vikings. Then we'll get Coach Height's perspective on today's game in Coach's Corner. Next, we'll take a quick look around the Dunn-St. Croix Conference to see where the conference stands as it heads into 2025. Following that, our broadcast crew will bring you all the play-by-play action of tonight's non-conference game between the Turtle Lake Lakers and the Colfax Vikings. So it's time to get ready for some exciting high school boys basketball. All that coming up right after this brief timeout. You're tuned to Viking Pregame on NLWN2.
My name's Stacy, I'm 57, and I was adopted in 2020. One teen can come in and make you look at life in a whole different way.
You know, he's my father, so I look up to him a lot. If I can be 10% of the man he is, I'll be a happy person for sure.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Welcome back to Viking Pregame as we're getting ready to bring you all the action of tonight's non-conference game between the Colfax Vikings and the Turtle Lake Lakers. The Vikings are coming into this game following a 72-60 impressive win over the Augusta Beavers back on Monday, while the Lakers took care of business with a 76-43 win over the Mille Lacs Co-op from Minnesota, also on Monday. Now in that win over the Beavers, the Vikings took a little while to shake off the rust from the holidays, but around midway through the first half, they seemed to take control and work toward the victory. Leading the way for the Vikings in that effort was 6-foot senior Aiden Fisher, who hit on 50% of his shots from the floor for 29 points, including a streak of 3 straight three-pointers.
And pass goes cross court to Aiden Fisher for 3, and the Vikings take their first lead, 9-8, 12:48 to go. Theo Hovde out to Aiden Fisher. Fisher, another 3-ball. Pressure, 8. Ball to Fisher. Fisher, another 3-ball. Hits it again. 3 threes so far for Aiden Fisher.
6'5" freshman Russell Pukowski followed with 26 points and showed that he could play a good portion of the game above the rim.
2-0 Augusta. And down underneath, a great feed to Russ Pukowski from Aiden Fisher, and we're tied at 2. Aiden Fisher guarding him, stolen away by Russell Pukowski. Clear shot to the hoop, jams it home for the Vikings. Rebounded by Hovde. Hovde up the floor to Fisher. Fisher, Pukowski again! Hammers it home.
Not to be left out was 5'11" junior Orion Nichols, who put in 3 from the floor, including a 3-pointer, and went 4 for 7 from the line for 11 points.
In the middle to Nichols, Nichols, 3-point attempt, good! 8 points for Orion Nichols as the Vikings now lead by 9.
Now on the boards, the Vikings were led by Pukowski, who grabbed 15 rebounds and was followed by Theo Hovde with 8, along with Fisher and Nichols, who each grabbed 7 boards. Now Turtle Lake Lakers come into tonight's game with an overall record of 5 wins and 2 losses and are 2-2 in the West Lakeland Conference. So far on the season, the Lakers are being led by 6'6" senior Brandon Wagner, who's shooting 47% from the floor as well as 60% from the charity stripe while averaging over 19 points per game. He's being followed by 6-foot sophomore guard Brody Tarman and 6'5" junior Cam Davis, who are averaging over 15 and 11 points per game respectively. On the boards, watch for Wagner and Davis, who are combining to pull down an average of 21 rebounds per game. Now, thus far on this season, leading the way for the Vikings is Aiden Fisher, who's shooting 47% from the floor while averaging 24 points per game. He's followed by Russell Pukowski, who's chipping in nearly 14 points per game, and Orion Nichols, who's scoring over 10. Now, on the boards, Pukowski leads the way, averaging nearly 11 rebounds per game. He's followed by Nichols and Fisher, who are combining to grab over 11 boards. Now, coming up next, following this timeout, we'll get the coach's perspective as we chat with Viking head coach Nick Height on Coach's Corner. You're tuned to Viking Pregame on NLWN2.
Be right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Time now to see what the coaches have to say. It's Coach's Corner, what they look at tonight's game from the coach's point of view. And now, Coach's Corner.
Once again, we're talking with Viking boys head coach Nick Height on Coach's Corner. And Coach, first of all, Happy New Year. And now it's time to get ready to tip off the 2025 portion of the season, as the Vikings will be taking on the 5-2 Turtle Lake Lakers. But before we get to that game, back on Monday, the Vikings picked up a fairly dominant win over the Augusta Beavers, 72-60. Your thoughts about that game?
Yeah, well, first off, Happy New Year's to you too, Rick. And
thank you.
Going back to the Augusta game, I thought the first half was pretty sloppy and not the way that we wanted to play. 14 first half turnovers. I thought in the second half we did a lot better job on the offensive glass, cleaning up some of that. And it was nice to kind of pull away there in the second half. Got some Augusta guys into foul trouble and started to pull away. So great way to kind of end the year on a high note, and hopefully, tonight we can come in and start the new year off well.
Now, in that game, Viking offense was led by some pretty aggressive play by both Aiden Fisher and Russ Pukowski, and they were doing it at both ends of the floor. That aggressive play appears to be a result of the tough games that the Vikings have played of late. Your comments about that idea?
Yeah, well, it helped that Aiden made 3 threes pretty quick in that game. I thought Russell's ability to get rebounds in the second half on the offensive glass with Orion too really helped us out. Our defense led into easy baskets in the second half, creating turnovers from them, live ball turnovers, which is always a great thing for us. I thought Aiden's ability to get to the rim, when he has a full head of steam, he's extremely hard to guard getting downhill. So hopefully we can continue to see those things as we move forward. Like you said too, I think, past games and that physicality, I think that definitely helped us out against Augusta.
Now, in that game, Russ Pukowski demonstrated that he can play the game above the rim for a pretty considerable amount of time. How valuable is it to have a player, albeit only a freshman, who can consistently elevate his game like that?
Well, it's been good. There's been a lot of growth, I think, within the first, month and a half of the season with Russell. And, especially when you have Logan still out, we kind of need someone like that right now. Obviously his ability to elevate and get rebounds and play above the rim, extremely hard to guard on offense when he goes up strong. I thought that was one of his better games this season, obviously with 26, and he almost had 20 boards too. So we need him to keep growing. That I think there's still aspects that he will tell you that he needs to get better at. I think, obviously he's a big shot blocker as well, but at times we just need him to stay down so he doesn't get into foul trouble for us. But I'm proud of Russell. He's been working really hard, and it's been great to see that growth.
Now tonight the Vikings are going to take on the 5-2 Turtle Lake Lakers. They're out of the West Lakeland Conference, and this is a non-conference tilt to start off 2025. What can you tell us about the Lakers and the challenges that they offer?
Well, they'll have length, 6'6", 6'5". They got 3 guys that average over 10 points. So we're going to have to come ready to go, and kind of an interesting place to play, kind of an elevated gym and a smaller gym, I would say. And they're going to come prepared and ready to go. I watched a few of their games. I watched them play Clear Lake, who we played earlier. I think matchup-wise could give us some fits at times, but I also think offensively I like our chances in that aspect. Again, I think over the last month and a half we've really talked, and we just have to get better at rebounding. I think our set defense is really good, but when you allow teams to get second and third opportunities, you work too hard on the defensive end to give those up. So if we play our game and can do the little things the right way, I think I like our chances.
Now with the Lakers, big guy like Wagner, does that limit Pekulski some by forcing him to stay low for rebounding and not be available for his really effective shots from three-point land?
I don't know. Russell will get his opportunities to shoot threes. With our 5-out offense, I think it would be probably more beneficial for someone like Wagner to get him out of the paint area as well. So it opens up driving lanes, things like that. Besides him, though, they didn't rebound the ball extremely well defensively. So look for maybe some guards to get some opportunities. And Orion, I know he rebounded really well in the second half against Augusta. So looking at those things to see if we can get some opportunities on the offensive glass.
And when you talk about guards getting rebounds, the first person that pops into mind is Theo Hovde, who plays the game at a height almost the same as Russ Pekulski. I mean, he's up there. He's not afraid to go in the land of the Giants, and he's the shortest guy out on the floor.
No, absolutely. And like I said, you're never going to question Theo's effort or heart. He's not afraid to go up with anyone. So I think that'll be a good opportunity for Theo as well, to try to give us other opportunities on the offensive side.
Are there any other adjustments that the Vikings need to make in order to take care of the Lakers?
I think just patient on offense. Their offense is, nothing that we haven't really seen. So I think for us, just being patient offensively and limiting turnovers is going to be a big thing. They're going to play kind of a really pack line style defense. So I think it will give us opportunities to have a lot of 3 balls. But we don't need 3 balls, 1 pass into a possession. Let's work it around a little bit and make sure that we get good looks each time down the floor.
Well, Coach Height, good luck on tonight's game. Hopefully the Vikings can find a way to open 2025 on a winning note.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner, with a look at tonight's game from the coach's point of view. This has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Welcome back to Viking Pregame. As we head into the new year, all play by teams in the Dun St. Croix Conference over the holidays has been non-conference. So this is a good opportunity to see where the conference stands as we head into the 2025 portion of the season. On December 27th, the Durand, Arkansas Panthers were nipped by the Richland Center Hornets 74-70, while the Altoona Railroaders faced off against the Elk Mound Mounders, with the Mounders winning 71-61. The Glenwood City Hilltoppers defeated the Prairie Farm Panthers 74-55 in the Clayton Holiday Classic. Then on the 28th, the Elmwood Plum City Wolves faced the Cadott Hornets, with the Wolves emerging victorious in a wild scoring affair, 88-83, to wrap up the Elmwood Plum City Classic in Elmwood. To finish off 2024, on December 30th, the Vikings defeated the Augusta Beavers 72-60, while the Mondovi Buffaloes were nipped by the Luther Knights from Onalaska 53-51. Then last night, the Mondovi Buffaloes journeyed to Osseo High School to face the Osseo Fairchild Thunder, and we hope to get you that score during tonight's game. Now, heading into 2025, the Dun St. Croix Conference standings are as follows. Leading the way in the conference are the Spring Valley Cardinals with a 3-0 record. Only a half game back at 2-0 are the Elk Mound Mounders. In third place and 1 game back are the 1-1 Boyceville Bulldogs, while fifth place sees a 3-way tie with the Vikings, Glenwood City Hilltoppers, and the Elmwood Plum City Wolves, all at 1-2 and 2 games off the pace. Eighth place belongs to the 0-3 Mondovi Buffaloes. Now, tonight's non-conference matchups for DSC teams, in addition to the Vikings at Turtle Lake Lakers, we find the Spring Valley Cardinals traveling to Unity to face the Unity Eagles, while the Elk Mound Mounders will play host to the Gale Ettrick Trempealeau Redhawks. It's the Prescott Cardinals traveling to Durand to face the Durand, Arkansas Panthers, and the Boyceville Bulldogs will make the trip to Independence to take on the Independence Gilmanton Indies. It will be the Glenwood City Hilltoppers and the Luck Cardinals facing off in Luck, while the Elmwood Plum City Wolves will battle with the Clayton Bears in Clayton. The Viking boys are looking to enter 2025 on a winning note. The Vikings will have to play strong in the middle and need to play another physical contest in order to counter 6'6" junior Brandon Wagner. Meanwhile, the Lakers would like to tune things up so as to make a run in the West Lakeland Conference. So the stage is set for some exciting high school boys basketball, with the Colfax Vikings facing the Turtle Lake Lakers. Now, in just a moment, we'll send it out to Turtle Lake High School, where our broadcast crew is ready to bring you all the action of today's boys game. That's all coming up next. You've been tuned to Viking Pregame on NLWN2.
My dad was a farmer. The guy was bigger than life. He wasn't someone that liked to show his emotion or liked to show when he was struggling, but we all struggle. I want to show emotion to my kids. It's something that brings me so much joy, and I want them to see me working through things. Allow your kids to know that it's okay to struggle, that even dad doesn't know the answer sometimes, but we're gonna figure it out together.
You've been tuned to Viking Pregame with a look at today's Colfax Viking Boys game. This has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. Stay tuned. Coming up next is live Colfax Viking basketball. It happens to everyone eventually. Your computer goes on the fritz. Fear not, Sladen's Technology Services can help. When your computer decides to not cooperate, it can be very frustrating. Let Sladen's Technology Services keep you from wanting to drive your computer right off a cliff. Sladen's Technology Services supports business of all sizes. They offer assistance with managed anti-malware, encrypted email, fast tech support, data backup, and recovery, and more. Call Sladen's Technology Services at 715-864-2833 and get the IT help you desire. Sladen's Technology Services is the official IT service for the Northern Light Webcasting Network.
Colfax Viking Boys Basketball is on the air.
Takes a snap of the key, puts up the shot, he hit it! Fisher hits
The Northern Light Webcasting Network, along with NLWN2, is excited to bring you Colfax High School Boys Basketball.
Around, feeds it underneath Orion Nichols, and he put it up and in.
Yeah, great fight
Vikings
by
back on top.
Join us as we follow the Vikings while they battle their way through the Dunn St. Croix Conference.
And they get it to Charbonneau, back to Larson. Three-pointer, he hit it! Trey Larson hit the three.
And now out to the gym for today's Colfax Viking basketball.
Good evening and welcome to Turtle Lake for tonight's non-conference game. The Colfax Viking Boys taking on the Turtle Lake Lakers. I'm Jay Fall here with Amanda Lemler, who will be our director tonight, and Dan Petshaw on the camera. Glad you joined us for tonight. Tonight's Colfax High School basketball game is brought to you by Dairy State Bank, where they're banking on relationships. Midwest Environmental Consultants, soil testers for Western Wisconsin. Anderson Bridges, who have been manufacturing prefabricated steel truss bridges since 1989. Slayton's Technology, IT provider for the Northern Light Webcasting Network. Menominee Eye and Optical, with quality, personalized care for you and your family. C&K Construction, concrete experts for the Chippewa Valley. And Mom's Restaurant and Pub in Colfax, comfort food the way Mom used to make it. Be sure to thank these fine sponsors by doing some business with them soon as they bring you Colfax Viking basketball here on NLWN2. Big event coming up Monday night. This coming Monday night, January 6th, the Northern Light Webcasting Network will broadcast our 500th event when the Viking girls host the St. Croix Central Panthers. Be sure to tune in for special gifts for our loyal viewers. That's all coming up this Monday, January 6th, on both NLWN TV and NLWN2. And the coverage of that game on Monday night starts with Viking pregame at about 6:40, followed by play-by-play. Tonight, the Turtle Lake Lakers of the Lakeland West Conference. They come into this game tonight with a conference record of 2 wins, 2 losses. They are 5-2 on the season, and they are tied with Webster for 5th place in the Lakeland, but it's early right now, or Lakeland West. Colfax boys, 1 win, 2 losses in the conference. They are in a 3-way tie for 5th place in the Dunn St. Croix. And they are 2-5 on the season, hoping to bump that up a little bit. We'll be back with more pregame here as we're a few minutes away from tip-off tonight. Colfax and Turtle Lake High School Boys Basketball. You're watching it on NLWN2. Might as well play 2.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused. A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out the self-doubt and support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Discover the resources you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Welcome back to Turtle Lake. About a minute and a half away from the national anthem and the introduction of the starters tonight. Stat leaders for the Vikings. Aiden Fisher is the leading scorer with 168 points. Russell Polkowski is the second leading scorer with 95. Ryan Nichols has 72. Trey Larson has 40. Theo Hubney with 18, and Charlie Charbonneau with 14 total points. Looking at the scoring leaders for the Lakers, Brandon Wagner, who is their 6'6" junior forward, is leading them with 134 points. Brody Tarman, who is a 6' sophomore guard, is the second leading scorer for Turtle Lake with 106 points. Cam Davis, a 6'5" junior forward who will start for the Lakers, has 79. Brady Job, 5'10" senior guard, also one of the starters, has 47 points. And then Lane Haig, the other starter, 6'1" senior guard, has 12 points on the season so far. So we'll go to the court for the introductions and our national anthem. And there you have the starting lineups for tonight's game. And as we look on here, the Colfax Vikings are moving from left to right as we are behind the scorer's table wearing road red with white numerals and trim. Turtle Lake ends up with the ball. Off the tip, driving in, Cam Davis puts it up, falls short, and it's going to be rolling off one of the Vikings. So Turtle Lake's going to keep it on their end of the floor. Just underway in the first half. Tarman throwing it in. He gets in the near corner to Cam Davis. He's outside the arch, throws in the opposite corner, then back to Brandon Wagner. Wagner goes up. Shot missed, reload, and good. First points of the night for the Turtle Lake Lakers. It's 2-0. 17 and a half minutes remain here in the first half. Hovde with the ball. Up on the left wing, fires off on top to Nichols. Halfway down. Then in the corner to Charbonneau, back out on top to Nichols. Nichols shot too hard, gets his own rebound. That one doesn't go either. Hovde trying to get it, rebounded by Cam Davis of the Lakers. 2-0 Turtle Lake. Lane Haig feeds a pass into Cam Davis, back out to Haig, outside the arch. That one rolls off, rebounded by Theo Hovde for Colfax. Give and go to Russ Polkowski. Caught in the lane, goes back outside to Nichols. Nichols outside to Charbonneau, and his shot doesn't go. Rebounded by the Lakers' Lane Haig. 2-0 Turtle Lake, 16 and a half minutes to go here in the first half. And ball gets knocked out of the hands of Lane Haig, and that is off Aiden Fisher, so Turtle Lake's going to keep it on their end. Brody Tarman's going to throw it in. Checking some dampness on the floor. Everything's okay. Down to Cam Davis in the corner. Over the top. Airballed, but Brandon Wagner comes up with it on the near side for the Lakers. He tries a three-pointer. That one rolls out. And Lane Haig comes down with a rebound. Back out to Brady Job. Bounces it into Brandon Wagner. Wagner's shot doesn't make it. Ball tipped around, and it coming up with it is Hovde, and Hovde saves it on the near side. Quickly down to Aiden Fisher. Fisher for three. Rolls off, and Turtle Lake will get it back. Brady Job brings it up. 2-0 Lakers, 15:40 left to go first half. And stolen away by Fisher. Fisher's taking it to the other end of the floor, coast to coast. Back outside goes to Polkowski, and Polkowski tripped up on the way in. And that foul is going to be charged to Lane Haig. That's the first foul of the game. Throw goes into Hovde. Back in the corner to Nichols. Nichols drives, fires off in the corner to Charlie Charbonneau. Back to Nichols for three. Caught up along the side. Brady Job on the rebound for the Lakers. Up the floor to Lane Haig. Haig, 8-foot jumper. That one rolls out, rebounded by Russ Polkowski. And Hovde around the rainbow, give and go to Charbonneau. Ball gets loose. It's going to be picked up by Brody Tarman, who puts in the layup. It rolls around a little bit, but goes in. 4-0 Turtle Lake. 14:40 remaining here in the first half. Hovde fires to Polkowski. Polkowski to Hovde. Back out to Nichols. Nichols free throw line right, drives in, fires it off to Hovde. Keeps control of it, will give it right back to Nichols. Nichols for three, missed, gets the rebound, drives in, goes up and in. First points of the night for Colfax by Ryan Nichols, 4-2 Turtle Lake. Approaching 14 minutes remaining here in the first half. Brody Tarman moving left to right for the Lakers, out to Job. Scoop pass back to Davis, out to Wagner, and Tarman pulls up for a three and nails it. That's 5 points so far tonight for Brody Tarman. Of the 7 points Turtle Lake has, 2 for the Vikings. Over to Charlie Charbonneau. Charbonneau dribbling around the arch, goes to Nichols. Nichols for three, rolls it off the top, rebounded by Wagner for Turtle Lake. Shots not dropping here in the first half for the Vikings so far early on. Tarman out to Job. Tarman holding it high near the sidelines. He'll bounce it over to Cam Davis. And stealing it away, Aiden Fisher knocked it away down to Charbonneau, back to Fisher. Fisher's shot falls short. That one doesn't go either. Boy, the shot's just not dropping tonight for Colfax. Cam Davis give and go to Brady Job. Job out to Haig, or that's Cam Davis. Davis drives in. Nice rebound by Russ Polkowski. Down to Theo Hovde. Hovde driving around the big man, goes to Charbonneau, then to Nichols. Nichols driving in from the lane, loses the ball. Wagner scoops it up, but then Hovde takes it back for the Vikings. Caught over on the far sidelines. Hovde to Charbonneau. Charbonneau for three, back iron, no. Rebounded by Job. Job down the floor is going to lay it up. He falls short. Reload is up and in for Lane Haig. And the Vikings take a timeout. 12:16 to go, first half. Turtle Lake 9, Colfax 2. You're watching Viking Boys Basketball on NLWN 2.
The teen years are a great time for your child to gain practical experience in managing finances. Perhaps he or she already has a summer job lined up. A free checking account at Dairy State Bank can help teens learn to set a budget, track spending, use a debit card, make deposits, and more. Plus, parents are account co-owners and have the ability to supervise the learning process. Give us a call today. Dairy State Bank, banking on relationships. Member FDIC.
The Bloomer Colfax wrestling team will be in Richmond tomorrow with action starting at 9:30 a.m. And then on Thursday they'll be in Neillsville with action starting at 5:30 p.m. Don't forget, this coming Monday night, January 6th, the Northern Light Webcasting Network will broadcast our 500th event when the Viking girls host the St. Croix Central Panthers. Be sure to tune in for special gifts for our loyal viewers. That's all coming up on Monday night on both NLWN TV and NLWN 2. Hovde fires into Fisher. Out to Polkowski. Polkowski going up, and he is fouled on the way up. That foul is going to be charged to Brandon Wagner. That's his second foul of the game. And Hovde, three-point attempt, rolls off the rim again. Brandon Wagner comes up with a loose ball. Brady Job fires off to Cam Davis. Davis to Wagner at the top of the key, out to Kolb. Kolb being guarded closely by Trey Larson. And Turtle Lake's going to keep it. Tarman into the near corner to Cam Davis. Davis fires cross court to Brandon Wagner. Wagner for three, bounces up high. And it's going to be a jump ball because they both had control of it, and it's going to the Vikings. 11.5 minutes left to go in the first half. It's 9-2. Turtle Lake leading Colfax. Pass goes to Trey Larson. Out in the corner to Polkowski for three. And the Vikings getting back into this. 9-5. Turtle Lake out in front of Colfax. Down on the near side, Job. Job goes up. And we have a technical foul that is going to be called on Brady Job of Turtle Lake. There was not a foul called there, and he wanted one, and apparently said something that wasn't going to help him get one. Aiden Fisher's on the free throw line, and the first free throw missed. Makes the second. I was going to have Dan shoot a close-up of that basket to see if there's a cap on that thing. Ryan Nichols in the corner goes to Hovde. Back out to Aiden Fisher. Fisher goes up. That one bounces out and doesn't drop. Brody Tarman with the ball for Turtle Lake. Halfway down on the far side, passes it to Andrew Buck now into the ball game. Buck's a 5'9" junior guard. Lane Hegg with it on the baseline. He's being guarded by Fisher, and a three-point attempt by Wagner rolls out, and Hovde quickly up the floor with it for the Vikings. Wagner out to Fisher. Fisher drives in off the glass. That one doesn't go. 9-6 Turtle Lake. Approaching 10 minutes left in the first half. Down underneath for Turtle Lake, it's Brandon Wagner. 4 points for him so far of Turtle Lake's 11. Compared to Colfax's 6. Up the floor it goes to Trey Larson. Larson, scoop pass back in the corner to Nichols. That three-point attempt missed, and Hovde trying to keep it from going out of bounds, and not successful. Turtle Lake's going to get it back. 9:40 left first half. Jay Fall, Amanda Lemler, and Dan Petshaw with you from Turtle Lake. Brandon Wagner with a pass inside to Cam Davis. Davis on the baseline, puts it off the glass and in. And now 4 of the 5 starters for Turtle Lake have scored. Trey Larson driving in for Nichols, then back to Hovde. Hovde goes up. That one is going to fall out, but he gets his own rebound. Fires it out to Nichols. And Fisher going to give it a shot now. That shot doesn't go, and Fisher driving up and draws a foul. And that foul is going to be on Cam Davis. That is his first. And that is the 4th team foul on Turtle Lake. And free throw number 1 this time goes in for Aiden Fisher. Fisher has 2 points of the Colfax's 7, and now 3 of 8. He is 3 of 4 from the free throw line. Turtle Lake to bring the ball up. Buck from the center circle out to Tarman. Tarman for 3, rolls off. Ball's going to head to the far corner. Turtle Lake's going to keep it. Brandon Wagner then fires it down to Lane Hegg. Hegg fall-away jumper is going to be good. And Trey Larson fouled him. That's the first Colfax foul, but that is going to set up a three-point play for the Vikings, or I'm sorry, for the Lakers. And Hegg with 5 points now, 16-8. Turtle Lake. Up the floor, it's Larson. Larson stopped in the lane. Ball is out to Nichols. Nichols, shot doesn't go. Polkowski's going to go up, and Russell Polkowski made the basket and draws a foul in there. And that foul is going to be called on Colton Bader. So Polkowski with the free throw. That one doesn't go. Russell has 5 of the 10 points for Colfax. Turtle Lake has 16. We're approaching 8 minutes left in the first half. Buck with the ball. Buck gets it into the big man Wagner. Wagner will wait, go up and put it in. Brandon Wagner with 6 points for the Lakers. It's 18-10 Turtle Lake. Hovde fires off to Nichols. Nichols off the glass and can't get his own rebound back off that shot. And a timeout called by Turtle Lake. It's a full timeout. 7:43 to go first half. It's Turtle Lake 18, Colfax 10. You're watching Viking Boys Basketball on NLWN 2.
NLWN 2 is once again excited to be your host for Colfax High School Boys Basketball throughout the 2024 through 2025 season.
This is what we came here for!
Our next game will be on Tuesday, January 7th, when the Vikings play host to the Bloomer Blackhawks. Coverage begins with Viking pregame at 6:40 p.m. with live play-by-play to follow. That's live Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on Tuesday, January 7th on NLWN 2.
Even though it's winter, baseball is just around the corner. And the Northern Light Webcasting Network is excited to bring you Colfax High School Baseball, followed by Eau Claire Cavalier Baseball. So stick with us all spring and summer long for America's game on the Northern Light Webcasting Network.
Brody Tarman's going to throw it inbounds for Turtle Lake to get things moving again here. Tarman out to Haig. Back to Davis, up top of the key to Brody Tarman. Tarman, three-point shot. Hits the front of the rim, no good. Cam Davis, reload and good. Cam Davis has 4 points. Turtle Lake has 20. Colfax with 10. Approaching 7 minutes left. Out to Trey Larson. Larson up off the glass. Doesn't go. Rebounded by Wagner. Wagner down to an open Brody Tarman. He puts in a layup. Tarman has 7 points so far, and Colfax trails Turtle Lake 22-10. Down in the far corner, it's Larson. Larson out on top to Fisher. Fisher drives in, tries again. That one is good. Aiden Fisher, Colfax's one of the leading scorers with 5. Russell Polkowski also has 5. Brady Job now from the far side goes in to Wagner. Wagner up and in. Brandon Wagner leads all scorers with 8 points. 6:10 left. And Turtle Lake leads Colfax 24-12. 3-point shot by Fisher. That one doesn't go. Rebounded by Wagner. Job, free throw line right, driving in and stumbling a little is Haig. He'll go back out to the top of the key to Davis. Down to Job inside. Andrew Buck, or no, check that. That is Cam Davis, and he has 6 points now. 26-12, Turtle Lake. Driving in, layup, good by Aiden Fisher. Fisher with 7 points. It's Turtle Lake 26, Colfax 14. Job on the far side. And nice block by Polkowski. Blocked the shot, went right out of bounds. Tarman's going to throw it in. Tarman out to Wagner. Wagner driving in, puts it in. Brandon Wagner leading all scorers with 10 points. 28 for Turtle Lake, 14 for Colfax. 5 minutes left. First half. Aiden Fisher drives in, puts it up, no good. Rebounded by Davis for the Lakers. Brady Job out to Brody Tarman. Davis. Wagner out to Job. Job still around the arcs. Wagner comes to help him out, drives on Polkowski, and Polkowski ends up with a rebound. Hovde up the floor goes to Nichols. Nichols fires off in the corner. Charbonneau for three. Catches the iron out, and it is going to be off of Theo Hovde. Turtle Lake's going to keep it, or get it back, I should say. 4:15 to go. First half, Turtle Lake 28, Colfax 14. Into Cam Davis. Wagner from the corner. Bounces off big. Tipped by Ryan Nichols. And one of the Lakers, Colfax, gets it back. So Theo Hovde out of the backcourt for the Vikings. Hovde to Charbonneau, top of the key for three. That's Nichols. Doesn't go. Colfax will keep it though. Ryan Nichols to throw it in. Right side of the lane underneath the Colfax basket. In the corner it goes to Charbonneau to Hovde. Outside to Fisher. Fisher driving on the left side. Puts it up. That one bounces out. Reload. Doesn't fall, but he is fouled in the process. That is going to be called on Brady Job. That is his second foul. And Fisher will go to the free throw line for two. Makes the first. Aiden Fisher with 8 points so far tonight. Brady Job coming out. Andrew Buck going back in for him. Second one goes in as well. Turtle Lake brings it out. It's Buck. Buck fires down underneath to Brandon Wagner, who is, if he is left open, will put it in. 12 points for him. Hovde with the ball, drives the right side of the lane, goes out to Charbonneau. Nichols up. Shot short, goes to Wagner for Turtle Lake. Then up the floor to Haig, who's going to make an athletic grab for it. Davis from the corner, no good. Russ Polkowski there to pull it down for the Vikings. Out to Fisher. Fisher driving up. Fisher trying to go up, and we're going to have a jump ball. And that is going to go to the Lakers. Two and a half minutes left here in the first half. Trying to go after the ball is Nichols, and now there's a scrum on the floor. Let's see who ends up with the foul. Nope, they are going to call a foul on Orion Nichols. That's Colfax's second foul of the half. To Wagner in the corner, out to Lane Haig. Haig doubled up on while he's waiting. Hovde knocks the ball away, but can't keep it from going out of bounds, so it's going back to the Lakers. Tarman left side of the basket goes into Buck. Buck back to Tarman. Tarman up from 5, and he scores a bucket. That is 9 points for Tarman, and Turtle Lake leads 32-16. Russ Polkowski, three-pointer, barrels off the backboard hard. Doesn't go in. Lakers have it back. Tarman for 3. $12 points for him, and a timeout on the floor for Colfax. 1:51 remains, first half. Turtle Lake 35, Colfax 16. You're watching Viking Boys Basketball on NLWN 2.
500.
That's right. The Northern Light Webcasting Network will soon be broadcasting its 500th event. Join us on January 6th as we celebrate this momentous occasion. We have special rewards for our loyal followers simply by tuning in. So, help us celebrate our 500th broadcast when the Colfax Viking girls take on the St. Croix Central Panthers on Monday, January 6th at 6:40 p.m. on NLWN TV and NLWN 2.
Colfax will bring the ball in to Hubdy from Nichols. Hubdy driving the right side. Pass off to Fisher. Free throw line extended right. Fisher down in the corner to Charbonneau. And coming up with the loose ball, Nichols, he'll put it in. 4 points for Ryan Nichols. 1:25 left, first half. And we'll have a travel called on Brendan Wagner. We invite you to stay tuned at halftime. Our Viking Profile interview tonight is with Nate Edwards. Game played last night. Osseo Fairchild Thunder defeated the Mondovi Buffaloes 55-47. From the corner of the lane, that's Nichols. Shot missed. Hubdy manages to get the rebound. Going to take it in there again. Drive in, out in the corner, goes to Charbonneau. Three-pointer miss, trying to get the rebound. Nichols ends up in the hands of Wagner. Then Wagner gets it back from Buck down underneath. And Lane Haig going up for a shot and a great block on the play by Colfax. Hubdy across the center jump circle. Hubdy to Nichols. Outside the arch to Charbonneau. Back to Hubdy. Hubdy hands it off to Charbonneau. Or Nichols. That shot doesn't go. And Turtle Lake gets it back. 35-18. A rough shooting first half for the Vikings. Down inside it goes to Buck. He'll hand it off to Tarman, back to Buck. 6 seconds left. Back into Tallman, went off his shoulder, but grabbing the ball is Davis. Coming out of there with it for Colfax is Charlie Charbonneau. And at the end of the first half, the Turtle Lake Lakers 35, the Colfax Vikings 18. We invite you now to stay tuned for our halftime programming. Our profile interview tonight's with Nate Edwards. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on NLWN 2.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Time now for Viking Halftime, with today's Viking Profile and other halftime entertainment. That's coming up right after this.
Time now for Viking Profile, where we take a closer look at one of the Colfax Viking players. And now, Viking Profile.
Today on Viking Profile, we're talking with Nate Edwards, who is a senior here at Colfax High School. Nate, we know that you play basketball, but are you involved in any other activities here at school?
FFA and track and field.
Okay, and what do you do in track?
I throw shot put and discus.
Okay, power sports. When did you start playing basketball? What kind of an experience have you had?
I've started playing when I was in 4th grade. I've gone to like a lot of travel ball throughout like elementary, middle school, and I don't know, just build relationships and stuff.
So what's the most important thing that you've learned playing basketball?
Teamwork.
Okay, and how do you exhibit teamwork when out on the floor?
Passing the ball and being unselfish.
Okay, so when you're not playing basketball or you're not here at school, what are some other things that keep you interested or occupied?
I show pigs at the Colfax and Dunn County Fair. That's basically my summer.
Okay, all right. You know these are coming. Pie, ice cream, cake, or cookies? What kind?
Chocolate chip.
Now, I've asked some other people, do you like them with the nuts or without? With the nuts. Finally, somebody that likes them with the nuts. I agree with you. All right, burger, brats, or hot dog?
Burger.
What do you want in the burger?
Ketchup, mustard, lettuce, onions, pickles.
Throw it on there.
Everything.
All right, sounds good. Favorite color or wine?
Blue.
Is there a reason?
Ocean.
Sounds pretty good to me. If you could have a superpower, what do you think that might be like?
Compared to any gas.
Okay, that would give you a disappearing effect. Okay, now if you could engasiate yourself, if that's such a word, as a superpower, you need a superhero name to go with that. What would your superhero name be?
Nasty. Watch your back.
Nasty Nate. All right. Favorite NBA team?
Bucks.
And favorite collegiate team?
Aggies.
And if you could sit down and have a chat with anybody throughout the history of sports, and regardless of team or sport, and just pick their brain a little bit, who might that be?
LeBron.
Okay, and what about LeBron makes it so interesting for you?
Just how he can stay so consistent.
How you put together a career, basically, right? Okay. We're talking with Nate Edwards today on Viking Profile. And Nate, what are your plans for after high school?
Going south for college.
Okay. And you know what you're going into yet?
Accounting.
Very good. And how about a shout out to the family?
Shout out my mom and dad, Dave and Tina Edwards, and my grandparents.
And when people come to watch Viking games, what number do you wear and where are they going to find you on the floor?
34 in the corner.
All right, popping the threes from the corner, right? All right, good idea. We want to thank Nate Edwards for joining us today on Viking Profile. Coming up next, more Viking Halftime.
You've been listening to Viking Profile. This has been a presentation of the Northern Light Webcasting Network.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. What? My. Oh. kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. So if you want to talk to your kids, you have to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
You've been tuned to Viking Halftime. Stay tuned. Coming up is second half action of today's Viking game on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN TV.
Elmer loves to giggle. Elmer's mommy told him that laughing can help when you have a big feeling, like when you feel happy. Make sure to celebrate when you're happy and laugh it out. Love your mind.
Welcome back to Turtle Lake at halftime. The Lakers lead the Colfax Viking Boys 35-18. Taking a look at the scoring for the first half, the Turtle Lake Lakers have two leading scorers with 12 points apiece. Brody Tarman has 12 points, including 2 3-pointers, and Brandon Wagner's all are on 2-point buckets. 6 points for Cam Davis. Lane Haig has 5 points. Nobody really in foul trouble for Turtle Lake, although Brady Job whistled with a technical foul early in the first half. For the Vikings, the leading scorer is Aiden Fisher with 9 points. That's 2 baskets and 5 free throws. 5 of 6 from the free throw line. He's had all of the free throws for the Vikings. Orion Nichols has 4 points on 2 baskets. And Russell Polkowski has a 3-pointer and a 2-pointer for 5 points. 35-18 is the score, and we'll go the other direction. We'll also let you know that the Viking JV team won earlier tonight by a score of 57-28. So Colfax to start out with the ball, second half. Hubney gets it from Nichols. Out to Fisher. Back down into Nichols. Driving in now, Charbonneau. Back out to Polkowski going in from the corner. That shot falls short, rebounded by Brody Tarman of the Lakers. Tarman across the 10-second line. Tarman out to Haig. Haig doubled up on. Was out to Brandon Wagner. Out in the far corner, Tarman for 3. Bounces off big. Russ Polkowski with a rebound for Colfax. In the second half, ball gets tapped away. Colfax trying to save it, but Brady Job comes up with it, and Job is fouled. He's going to go to the free throw line for 2. And that foul is going to be charged to Charlie Charbonneau. That's his first foul of the game. So Brady Job on the free throw line for 2 free throw attempts. Makes the first. Turtle Lake now doubled up on Colfax again, 36-18. And Job makes the second one as well. That's his first 2 points of the night. 37-18, Turtle Lake. Down in the far corner, it goes out to Trey Larson. Larson's 3-pointer missed, goes right to the hands of Cam Davis. Job at the center circle, fires off to his right to Tarman. Passes off to his right. He'll bounce it back to Cam Davis. Davis back out to Tarman, inside feed to Haig. Haig tangled up with Ryan Nichols in there, and Nichols ends up with the ball. Hubney Fires off to Polkowski. Polkowski trying to get a pass to Fisher. So Turtle Lake gets it back. Job across the Turtle in the center of the court. Now into Cam Davis. Ball is tipped but manages to get back to Brandon Wagner. He's driving in with a layup for 2 more. That's 14 points for Brandon Wagner in the game tonight. Driving in Aiden Fisher. Fisher trying to go, and we're going to have a player control foul on Aiden Fisher. And that is Aiden Fisher's first foul. That's the second foul of the half for Colfax. No whistles on Turtle Lake so far. Goes into Brandon Wagner. Wagner has the ball knocked away by Orion Nichols. Up the floor to Fisher. Fisher to Hovde. Hovde goes up in the land of Giants. Tipping it again. Nichols doesn't go. Now to the other end of the floor. Hovde manages to get it. Saves it. But then right to the hands of Lane Haig. And Haig trying to feed Davis. Davis misses. Now Hovde up the floor again to Polkowski inside the... No, they're going to give him 3 on that one. So a 3-pointer for Russell Polkowski. And it's 39-21 Turtle Lake. And a double dribble violation, so Colfax is going to get it right back. 15-19 to go, second half. Inbounds bounce goes into Theo Hovde. Hovde to Nichols. Nichols, left corner of the lane. Fires a pass out to Trey Larson. Larson for 3! His first points of the night. Colfax closes the Turtle Lake lead to 15. It's 39-24 Lakers. Inside 15 minutes remaining, second half. Up on top, they left Lane Haig alone. Misses the shot from the free throw line. Pulled down by Fisher. Fisher up the floor to Larson, back to Fisher. Fisher up high, then to Polkowski. Polkowski, another 3! Russell Polkowski, 11 points tonight. 3 3-pointers. 39-27. Clear Lake leading Colfax. On the right side, Brody Tarman. Tarman out to Davis. Davis from the parking lot. That one rolls out. Rebounded by Polkowski. To Hovde. Hovde give and go to Fisher. Fisher over to Larson. Larson's outside the arch. Hovde's down in the corner to take the pass. And getting the loose ball is Fisher. Fisher out to Nichols. Nichols looking for a pass. Goes up, misses the shot. It's rebounded by Brandon Wagner. Wagner out to Haig. Haig fires a pass to Job in the corner. Out to Tarman. Tarman dribbles a few times back to Haig. Haig for 3. Shot falls short. And we're going to have the ball going out of bounds off Brody Tarman. Colfax gets it back. 13:28 left to go, second half. Turtle Lake 39, Colfax 27. Hovde crosses the timeline, fires over to Larson, drills the 3-pointer, his second of the second half. Colfax pulls to within 9, 39-30. We approach the 10-minute mark, grabbing the ball. Tarman out to Buck, and tapping it away, Polkowski. Polkowski is going to go down, and he is bumped all the way down by Brody Tarman. That's his first foul of the night. And since he was not shooting, and Turtle Lake wants a timeout. 12:59 to go here in the second half. It's Turtle Lake 39, Colfax 30. You're watching Viking Boys Basketball on NLWN 2.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Remember the best planned 90 minutes of your life? Or that surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Remember the best.
C&K Construction is your source for high-quality concrete and construction work in the Chippewa Valley. Established in 2014, C&K Construction in Chippewa Falls is a leading concrete contractor proud to serve Eau Claire, Altoona, Menominee, and surrounding areas. Specializing in concrete construction, excavating, flatwork poured walls, and much more, they're right for all of your concrete needs. Call C&K Construction in Chippewa Falls at 715-559-1335.
Welcome back, 39-30, three-point shot, good by Aiden Fisher. And the Vikings have made a 15-4 run on the Lakers here in the start of this second half. Up on top, Lane Haig. Haig out to Job. Fired over to Buck. Back out on top to Wagner. Wagner's going to dump it inside. Colfax gets right there, going up and putting it in is Lane Haig. 7 points for him so far. 12-15 remaining second half. It's Turtle Lake 41, Colfax 33. Shot up from the lane, short by Trey Larson, rebounded by the Lakers. Fired up the floor to Haig. Haig, a three-pointer. Haig's now got 10 points for Clear Lake, or Turtle Lake, and they lead 44-33. Down underneath, basket by Nichols. Ryan Nichols with 6 points, 11:45 left. 44-35, Turtle Lake leading Colfax. Pass dished off to Brady Job. He'll drive the baseline over the top, right into the hands of Aiden Fisher. Up the floor it goes to Ryan Nichols on the fast break. And Colfax pulls to within 7. It's 44-37, Turtle Lake. Brody Tarman. Brandon Wagner, three-pointer, rolls around and out. Rebounded by Andrew Buck. And we're going to have a foul. Charge to Aiden Fisher, that's his second. And the third foul for Colfax here in the second half. Inbounds throw goes into Lane Haig. Haig, that ball was apparently tipped by Aiden Fisher, who had a surprised look on his face. 11 minutes exactly remaining, second half. Inbounds throw goes to Davis. Davis from the corner, getting the rebound. Wagner, put back is good. 16 points for Brandon Wagner so far of the Clear Lake's 46. Colfax with 37. Out to Fisher. Fisher into Nichols, back to Nichols. Loses the ball. Tipped into the hands of Cam Davis. Davis out to Job. Outside to Tarman. Still up on the wing, Haig. Being guarded by Fisher. Then the big man Wagner coming out on top. Job drives in. Wagner gets the bounce pass near side, being guarded by Polkowski. And a layup by Brandon Wagner. 18 points for him, and Turtle Lake goes up. Now another three-point shot missed. Reload back up. That one doesn't go. Third time's a charm. That one goes in for Ryan Nichols. 10 points for him, 48-39. Turtle Lake leading Colfax. Wagner from the parking lot. 21 points for him tonight. Now down in the corner, Trey Larson drives in on the baseline. And foul is going to be called on Brady Job. That is his third foul. He's got 2 regular fouls and a technical. Passed right inside to Polkowski, trying to go up with it. Ball bounced on the end line, and they said that Turtle Lake did the bouncing. In it goes to Trey Larson. Out to Hovde. Nichols. Hovde inside, and we're going to have we'll have a foul on Brody Tarman. That's Tarman's second foul. That's the third foul of the half, and inbounds it goes to Trey Larson for 3. That just got in but didn't fall through. And Brody Tallman going up for that shot. He's fouled on the way up by Trey Larson, and Trey's got 2 fouls now. No shot. Goes in the corner to Cam Davis. 3-pointer missed. Rebounded by Brody Tarman. And the first foul of the night called on Theo Hovde. That is the 5th Colfax foul in this half, though. Brody Tarman. And we have a timeout to cover up some blood. 8:54 remaining. Be sure to tune in Monday night, January 6th. The Northern Light Webcasting Network will be broadcasting our 500th event when the Viking girls host the St. Croix Central Panthers. Coverage begins with the Viking pregame at 6:40, followed by live play-by-play. Be sure to tune in for special gifts for our loyal viewers. That's all coming up Monday night here on both NLWN 2 and NLWN TV. In the corner, 3-point shot rolls out for the Lakers. No good. Davis with the rebound. Ball goes up, and it is taken by Larson of the Vikings. And then Fisher pulls up for 3, bangs around, and doesn't drop again. And that foul is going to be called on Trey Larson. He is, no, wait a minute. That foul is going to be on Russ Polkowski, his first. Inbounds throw goes into Lane Haig. Full court pressure for Colfax. Brody Tarman breaks out of it. Up to Andrew Buck. Down in the corner. Brandon Wagner again. Rolls off, no good. Hovde with the ball, and Cam Davis ended up with it and put in the basket. And that foul's going to be called on Nichols. That's his second, and that will put Cam Davis on the free throw line. Colfax 39, Turtle Lake 54, top of the key, bouncing out big for the Vikings from Ryan Nichols. And Turtle Lake brings it up again. 8 minutes left, second half. Brandon Wagner out to Brody Tarman. Back and forth, out on the far corner. Tarman for 3. Rolls off, no good. Rebounded by Wagner. Wagner going up, reload. That doesn't go. Wagner's going to try again. That one falls short. Polkowski comes up with that one. And that foul is going to be on Cam Davis of the Lakers. And a timeout called by Nick Height and the Colfax Vikings. 7:38 to go, second half. It's Turtle Lake 54, Colfax 39. You're watching Viking Boys Basketball on NLWN 2.
Menominee Eye and Optical can help you see the world for the beautiful place it is. Doctors Nicholas and Marianne Comro provide comprehensive and emergency eye care for all, including pediatric and special needs patients. Whether it's examination for glasses to cataract or LASIK care, or diagnosis and management of macular degeneration, and so much more. In addition, Menominee Eye and Optical's experienced opticians will help guide you to the highest quality eyewear for the best value. That's Menominee Eye and Optical, 520 Wilson Avenue in Menominee, where they specialize in quality personalized care for you and your family.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
54-39, Turtle Lake leading Colfax, 7:38 to go here in the second half. Jay Fall, Amanda Lemler, and Dan Petshaw with you from Turtle Lake here on NLWN 2. And the pass picked off by Brody Tarman of Turtle Lake. He'll get it up the floor to Lane Haig. Haig being pushed against the line by Hovde. And a two-point basket for Cam Davis. He has 11 so far tonight. Turtle Lake now in the bonus, going up with a shot that just falls short is Aiden Fisher. Tarman out on the near side, Brandon Wagner threw it way over the head of Lane Hagen out of bounds. Inside 7 minutes to go, Turtle Lake in the bonus. As Colfax has 17 fouls now. Ball handed off to Orion Nichols. Nichols goes up, that shot doesn't go. Hovde trying to get the rebound, taken out of there by Cam Davis of the Lakers. Over to Brandon Wagner. Wagner down to Cam Davis. Ball gets tapped loose to Hovde. Up the floor to Fisher. Fisher waits, off the glass and good. Aiden Fisher with 14 points pulls the Vikings to within 15. It's 56-41, Turtle Lake. Up the floor, Polkowski trying to steal the ball away on the pass. Goes out of bounds. Tarman to throw it in for Turtle Lake. Goes into the backcourt to Cam Davis. Davis. And that's going to be called on Russ Polkowski, and Nick Height would like an explanation of that. That's going to send Brandon Wagner to the free throw line for 1+1 since that's away from the ball. Missed. Coming up with the loose ball, Cam Davis. Davis into Haig. Haig misses, rebounded by Fisher. Fisher is going to be fouled on his way up. That is going to be charged to Lane Haig. That's his second, but that's only the fifth foul for Turtle Lake here in the half. Hovde with the ball, fires a pass off to Fisher. Fisher going in is going to be called for a player control foul. That is the third foul. And now a discussion with between Nick Height and one of the officials right down here in front of us. 5:51 remaining, second half. Colfax 41, Turtle Lake 56. Boys will be back in action Tuesday night, and they will be home for the first time in many, many games. They'll host the Bloomer Blackhawks. Tuesday night coverage begins here on NLWN2 with Viking pregame at 6:40, followed by live play-by-play action. Inbounds it goes to Brody Tarman, and Colfax making it hard for Turtle Lake to get the ball up the court, and that foul is going to be called on Lane Haig of Turtle Lake. So now that is the 6th foul for Turtle Lake. Next foul for the Lakers also has Colfax on the line for a bonus. Pass goes out to Trey Larson. Larson out on top to nobody. Polkowski trying to knock it back across the timeline, and it's an over and back violation. 5:34 remaining here in the second half. Turtle Lake leads Colfax 56-41. Cam Davis drives in, loses the ball, so Colfax will get it back. Inside 5.5 minutes remaining. Second half, Hovde. Give and go out to Larson. 3-point attempt by Nichols. No good. Rebounded by Cam Davis. The Lakers. Pass it back to Brody Tarman. Full court pressure by the Vikings. And we will have a traveling violation on Brody Tarman. And timeout called by Turtle Lake. 5:09 remaining, second half. Turtle Lake 56, Colfax 41. You're watching Viking Boys Basketball on NLWN2.
NLWN2 is once again excited to be your host for Colfax High School Boys Basketball throughout the 2024 through 2025 season.
This is what we came here for!
Our next game will be on Tuesday, January 7th, when the Vikings play host to the Bloomer Blackhawks. Coverage begins with Viking pregame at 6:40 p.m. with live play-by-play to follow. That's live Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on Tuesday, January 7th on NLWN2.
Monday night is the 500th broadcast of the Northern Light Webcasting Network. The Viking girls host the St. Croix Central Panthers. Be sure to tune in for special gifts for our loyal viewers. That's this coming Monday night on both NLWN TV and here on NLWN2. Fisher looks at one from the corner. Polkowski bangs around again and out. Cam Davis fires up to Brandon Wagner. Down to an open Lane Haig. 12 points for him. Fisher bringing it up for Colfax. Vikings trail by 17. Fisher moves in, off the glass, no, rebounded by Cam Davis. He'll throw it to Wagner. Pass to Tarman. Open underneath on the left side, going to try to go up again. But the ball went out of bounds off the arm of Russell Polkowski. Tarman to throw it in. Tarman to Haig. Out to Tarman. Back to Cam Davis. Out to Andrew Buck. As we approach 4 minutes remaining. Second half. Cam Davis. Lane Haig. Manages to get it out to Wagner. And layup attempt miss, rebounded by Aiden Fisher. Fisher goes into 4. And we have a traveling violation. Called on the Vikings, turns it over to them. Buck out to Tarman. Layup missed by Lane Haig. Quickly up the floor, stolen away by Turtle Lake. Andrew Buck gets it into Brandon Wagner. Out to Tarman. Left wide open underneath Lane Haig. 14 points for him. Coming up on the 3-minute mark as the Vikings trail. Now that lead cut short on the three-pointer by Aiden Fisher. 3:02 left to go, second half. It is Turtle Lake 60, Colfax 44. You're watching Vikings basketball on NLWN 2.
Even though it's winter, baseball is just around the corner. And the Northern Light Webcasting Network is excited to bring you Colfax High School baseball, followed by Eau Claire Cavalier baseball. So stick with us all spring and summer long for America's game on the Northern Light Webcasting Network.
Full court pressure applied by Colfax. And the foul is going to be called on Theo Hovde. That's his second. That will send Brody Tarman to the free throw line for 1+1. Makes the first. Colfax now has 10 fouls, so it's going to be a double bonus now for Turtle Lake the rest of the way here. 14 points for Brody Tarman. 62-44 Lakers. Charbonneau fires into Polkowski. Polkowski going up. And we are going to have a foul called on number 4, Colton Bader. That's Colton's second foul. And that will send Polkowski to the line for 2. First shot, front iron and off. Second one, that one's good. 12 points for Russell Polkowski tonight. Alley-oop to Lane Haig. Haig loses the ball on the way down. It is stolen away by Nate Edwards now into the ball game. Down underneath, waiting for it and knocking it away. Nickel shot. That was Brandon Wagner. He'll throw it to the other end to Haig, and Haig will put in the layup. 16 points for Lane Haig tonight. And Lane Haig ended up in like the third row up there. Charbonneau, free throw line right, dishes it off to Polkowski. Polkowski goes up. Shot rolls off. It's rebounded by Brandon Wagner. Wagner to Tallman. Tarman. Back out to Buck. Back to Tarman. Drains the three-pointer. 17 points for him. 67-45. Turtle Lake. Edwards. Getting it back out to Charbonneau. Charbonneau goes up with a layup on the left side. And he is fouled by Colton Bader. That is his third. That is going to send Charbonneau to the free throw line for 2. First one missed. Viking boys back in action Tuesday night. They're back at home. Come on out and see them. Coverage begins on NLWN2 with Viking pregame at 6:40, followed by live play-by-play. Bloomer Blackhawks are the opponent. Of course, Monday night, 500th broadcast for the Northern Light Webcasting Network. Viking girls hosting the St. Croix Central Panthers, 6:40 pregame. And play-by-play following that. Charbonnel's second one goes in, and we're at 136 and counting. Colfax down by 19. Colton Bader out to Grayson Peterson into the ball game now. Bader takes a shot from three-point land, missed. Job manages to get the ball in, and it is hit over to Moretu Emsch for Colfax. Vikings with the ball. Levi Elwood in there now. Grant Paulus trying to go up. Emsch fires it back out on top to Elwood. Three-point attempt by Paulus. Rolls out, no good. Inside a minute to go. Brady Job with the ball for the Lakers. Out to Bader. Graydon Peterson. Out in the far corner to Cam Davis. Shot missed. And we're going to have a foul called on Hunter Roberts. That's his first. And that's going to send Cam Davis to the free throw line for 2. 38.3 seconds left. Free throw missed. Second one goes in though. 68-46, Turtle Lake leading Colfax. Pass to Emsch in the far corner. Emsch to Elwood. Trying to get the ball over to Roberts. Colfax is going to keep it. Throwing it in is going to be Grant Paulus. Paulus into Levi Elwood. 24 seconds to go. Paulus puts it in. Or sorry, that was Grant Palowitz on the basket. Five seconds to go, and Turtle Lake's just going to hold it on the outside and let this one come to an end. The Colfax Viking boys fall to the Turtle Lake Lakers. The final score, 68-48. Tonight's Colfax High School basketball game is brought to you by Dairy State Bank, where they're banking on relationships. Midwest Environmental Consultants, soil testers for Western Wisconsin. Anderson Bridges, who have been manufacturing prefabricated steel truss bridges since 1989. Slayton's Technology, IT provider for the Northern Light Webcasting Network. Menominee Eye and Optical with quality personalized care for you and your family. C&K Construction, concrete experts for the Chippewa Valley. And Mom's Restaurant and Pub in Colfax. Comfort food the way Mom used to make it. Be sure to thank these fine sponsors for bringing you Colfax Viking basketball here on NLWN2. We invite you to join us for our post-game show that is coming your way next. You're watching Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network, NLWN2.
You need some help?
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire. I could show you how to secure them properly if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
You have been tuned to Colfax Viking Boys Basketball on the Northern Light Webcasting Network and NLWN2. This copyrighted production of the Northern Light Webcasting Network and Colfax High School is intended for the enjoyment of the viewing and listening audience. Any broadcast, rebroadcast, or reproduction in part or in whole in any form without the express written consent of the Northern Light Webcasting Network LLC and Colfax High School is prohibited. Stay tuned. Coming up next is Viking Postgame with a look back at today's game.
In November of 2018, our daughter Jana passed away. The outpouring of support was unbelievable. Support that we received inspired us to start a foundation called the Jana Kelly Memorial Foundation. And through that foundation,
we've given back in a lot of different ways, through projects, through different other charities that we've supported. We like to help Humane Association, and the Ronald McDonald House is something that's very near and dear to us. We've also recently, this last year, we actually built a tiny house. It's really exciting to be able to give back in different ways.
to learn more or to help financially, find us on Facebook or www.janakelly.com.
Time now for Viking Postgame, a wrap-up of today's Colfax Viking Boys game. And now, Viking Postgame.
Tonight's final score, Turtle Lake 68, Colfax 48. Colfax is now 2-6 overall, and the Turtle Lake boys improved to 6-2. Taking a look at the scoring first for the Vikings. Leading scorer tonight was Aiden Fisher with 17. Russell Polkowski had 12. 10 points for Orion Nichols, 6 for Trey Larson, a basket for Grant Polowitz, and 1 point for Charlie Charbonneau. 48 points for the Vikings. For the Turtle Lake Lakers, they had, all of their starters were in double figures. Brandon Wagner led the charge with 21 points, 16 for Lane Haig, 17 for Brody Tarman, 12 for Cam Davis, and 2 for Brady Joe. We've only got one that works. So, Nick Height joins us for the post-game show, and Nick started out really tough. Shots were just not falling on either end.
No, Ryan's a better shooter than that, so it'll be interesting to see the stats on that. Just easy layups. I thought that, they were contested, but usually we didn't fall. Kind of got in your hole early, with down 17 at halftime. Thought the kids battled back in the second half, but we just, we're ready to go. We got out physical. The physicality was just, got to be better, so.
Yeah, that start of the second half was very good. It looked like you outscored them about 12-4. What sort of things started clicking in that run?
Well, Trey made some threes. Trey came out and made some shots, which was really big. Russell made a few there at in that run as well. It just consistency offensively just wasn't there. I need to do a better job of having our kids prepared for triangle and 2, and I'll take that one.
Tough defense tonight for Turtle Lake, and on both ends of the floor. They got their shots to go.
Yeah, I think points in the paint will be interesting to see. Wagner was very physical for Russell. I think that's something that we can grow on, and look ahead to Bloomer and get prepared and get ready to go.
Okay. Well, the boys get to come home, which has this has been a long road series.
Yeah, it has. If you're counting the crossover game kind of at Stout, 7 in a row. It'd be nice to be back home and in front of a good crowd, and definitely looking forward to that.
Okay, Nick, thanks for stopping up and talking with us. Take care. Nick Height, head coach of the Colfax Viking boys, as the Vikings fall tonight to Turtle Lake by a score of 68-48. So don't forget, Monday night is the 500th broadcast for the Northern Light Webcasting Network. It'll be the Colfax girls hosting the St. Croix Central Panthers. Viking pregame gets underway at 6:40. But if you're watching at home, be sure to tune in, because we're going to have special gifts for our loyal viewers. That's Monday night. That game will be on both NLWN TV and NLWN2. And as we mentioned, the boys are back in action Tuesday night. They come back home to host the Bloomer Blackhawks. Coverage begins on NLWN2 with Viking pregame at 6:40, followed by live play-by-play. So for our director, Amanda Lemler, and Dan Pechaw on the camera, I'm Jay Fall. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight on the Northern Light Webcasting Network. Good night and have a great weekend.
You've been listening to Viking Postgame, a wrap-up of today's Colfax Viking Boys game. This has been a production of the Northern Light Webcasting Network.